Let's say you've got 50k in crypto, and the question you might have is, what exactly do you do with it? Do you just hold it in a wallet and wait for the next bull run? Do you stake it? Do you farm it? Do you lend it? Do you go and trade it? Most people think holding is actually a single choice, but in reality, there are levels that you can do to your hodl portfolio with cryptocurrency. And today I'm going to break down exactly what those levels look like, from completely passive to fully active, so you can decide what fits your strategy. If you're sitting around with a 50k kind of portfolio, you could do it with 5k, you could do it with 500k, it doesn't really matter. The point is actually asking yourself, what can you do, and can you do more with a cryptocurrency portfolio? So you can do a lot. There's a bunch of things you can do with 50k. For example, there's a couple of methods I want to talk about. There's actually 4. There's probably more, but I don't want to get too technical. So if you have 50k or 5k or 500k, take it whatever it's worth, but I'm just going to talk about 50. Well, you can have your hodl bag. That could be a mixture of Bitcoin, medium caps, blue chips, lower caps, AI coins, DePIN, meme coins, etc. And you could wait and do nothing. You can wait for this bull run to appreciate your value, and you cash out a potential profit, right? That equals you get more money. You could trade, you buy and sell for a profit. If you short in the market, long in the market, then you could decide if you want to use leverage. Okay, it's a little bit risky, but you could decide to do that. And you could reinvest profits. And if you're profitable in your success rate, you make a lot of money. You could do LP pools, you could earn fees, you could stack coins, you can compound fees, and of course you could lend, which is, a loan for crypto for interest. You use that money to do whatever you want. It's actually funny. I'm going to show you this real quick in our community. I shouldn't share this because this is kind of like inside information, but I want to show you what you can do. There's a guy called Parker, one of our teachers, coaches, I guess you could say, for our DeFi classes on Saturday. What he did was he could take a bank loan for 7% and then lend stables for 10%. He nets 3% APY, and what he did was he bought a car. Pretty effing crazy. By just doing maths at 7%, he makes 10% in the stables, and he got a car that he always wanted. So that's another thing you could do. I want to talk about the baseline. Number 1, simple hodling. There is nothing wrong with hodling. Hodling is what most people start at. They buy their coins on crypto.com, Coinbase, whatever. Maybe they go as far as getting a hardware wallet, and they pretty much do nothing. And their whole goal is to sell for a better 2025 or early 26 whenever they think the bull run's going to happen. So you buy Bitcoin, you buy Ethereum, you buy Solana, you scale down to new narratives that you like, and that's really where this goes. The pros of this is maximum security. If you know how to keep your coins on a good exchange, or primarily a good ledger or treasure, and you're not an idiot and you store your keys online, okay? There's zero counterparty risk if you do that, and it's very easy to manage. The pros, or should I say the cons of this, is you don't get any yield, so you only make money when you sell, and you're sitting outside of the system instead of participating in it. Now again, this is a great strategy, and this is where most people should start, especially if you've got active income, so you can DCA. Absolutely fantastic strategy. If we talk about the more darker stuff, trading, again, I'm not against trading. I know some people that make a lot of money, but I also know more people that lose money. And this is where my kind of like catch-22 comes with trading, because I just see so much more people getting wrecked, especially newer people that need to make it work, and then they can't pay their mortgage the next month. Kind of sucks, but kind of their own fault. If you get high volatility, that's an opportunity. It's fast moving. Okay, you can literally make money today. It's literally, but you are in control. You're in full control. You choose when to exit and enter. And it's skill-based, okay? You can decide how you want to play this, and it is you against another player on our side. So you can win. You can win every single trade if you want. You don't need to win every single trade, but that's the reality. If it goes right, you can fucking print. I have a guy, Bobby, that was running this coin called We Love Tits, and I think he made over 6 figures. The problem was he didn't make the amount that he wanted. I think he was up about $400,000 to $450,000. And he was going for his first $1 million trade. No leverage, just bought super, super early, and he just forgot about it, and then it started to take off and do like 1,000,000x. The problem was he started to take profits, and he made like 6 figures. I think he made like 120K. The problem was he lost. He didn't lose it, but 300K was excellent profits because he thought it was going to come back up. But that was a profitable trade for him, but he wanted the $1 million trade. So realistically, he made 100K profit, or 120, give or take in the maths, but he also lost out on 300K, but it was still a profitable trade. Another example was Peasant. We had the guy called TJ. He also has a YouTube channel. You can probably find him. He's just starting a YouTube game, and he caught 10x in a couple of weeks, but obviously then it dumped. So again, you can decide, and there is plenty of traders and coins you can do. The problem is to hit these licks. How many people do you see that lose all their money compared to guys that are researching the market and all in crypto that actually make a lot of money? That's the difference. A lot of people don't find these coins, and they buy, Final Boss coin, right? If you've seen that coin, a lot of guys that made early money in 2 weeks, your coin was down 99%. So the cons of this, it's emotional and it's very psychology. It can really F with your mind. That's why I don't do it. It's high stress and high demand, and there's constant monitoring. You probably have to sit, for these 2 guys that I just showed you with those kind of testimonials on Peasant and We Love Tips, they were literally glued to their screen for days. Okay, if you can't do that and you have a life to live, it's probably not going to be for you. And here's the kicker I have. It's a very low success rate, okay? it's a very, very low success rate. I've seen people get literally wrecked. For example, I have a guy in my private community back in the day, I think it was roughly 2023, so 2+ years now. And what he did was XRP started to go crazy. He put not even a crazy leverage. I think it was a 5 to 10x leverage, so not 100x leverage. This isn't him, by the way, but it's just like a UK guy at the pub. And he said XRP was going to break $1. He went all in on leverage trading. He took his whole XRP bag and he put it on MXC and he went crazy on leverage. Not crazy, but enough where, you know, a big wick like what happened completely wiped him out. And he went to the swimming pool, and in 30 minutes later, or an hour later, however long it was, he came back and he had no XRP left and he was liquidated. So that's the problem I have with trading. Like a normal guy working hard that had a bunch of XRP, which would be, by the way, worth way fucking more, okay, if he just held it. He tried to catch a lick and unfortunately he got stung. The good news is he bought more XRP, he grinded out his job, and he's got pretty much the same XRP that he did have, but he would pretty much have double if he just did nothing, and let alone if he bought that massive dip instead of trying to leverage trade it and went the other way. So it's just my con with leverage trading. I just see so many people get wrecked. And then you have strategies like active holding, liquidity, and lending. This is something we do where we take our hodl portfolio and we put them in LP positions and we put them on steroids. So once you're comfortable with hodling, which usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks, you know, once you buy your coins, you start to go down the rabbit hole and you start to think about how much more money can I make on my coins. You can move into active strategies, okay, where you still hold the crypto for the bull run, so you still get that benefit, but in a way that generates additional cash flow or get you more coins. Basically, you provide liquidity to exchanges. That could be VFAT, that could be Orica, that could be Turbo Finance. Or you could also lend assets to borrowers. You could also use in structured vaults and all. There's a bunch of things you can do. I'm just really talking about LP positions because that's primarily what we do 24/7. And then what this will do is it'll create motion in your portfolio and you're not chasing. And in return, for example, if you do an XRP and Ethereum pool like a lot of our guys are doing in VFAT, you get paid, okay, for that volatility we just had. The fuck loads of guys start to make a lot of more XRP and a lot of Ethereum. And again, the caveat is if you already hold those coins anyways, you get paid more for that. And that's where it's the catch 2022 or catch 22, should I say, where you get to ride both waves. So I think it's a great strategy once you get out of the hodl mentality with a couple of weeks. The pros of this is your assets stay productive. Instead of sitting idle, like waiting to sell, okay, when you feel like you want to do something more, your crypto actually contributes to get you more crypto. It supports the ecosystem. You provide liquidity, you provide a business. We call it providing a business because that's what you're doing. And in return, you get paid. And it's very flexible. You're not staking, you're not locking stuff up, although you can do that. But for us, we want to be able to get in and get out if we want. If we don't like the coin anymore, okay, ideally we shouldn't have that problem if we like XRP and Ethereum for a big gap. We shouldn't just decide the next day to sell it. Okay, there's going to be that time where you want to do that, but we don't have to lock it up. Okay, don't have to lock up. You can just change your mind tomorrow. The cons are if you're on sketchy platforms, you could have smart contract risk and permanent loss if you don't know how to manage ranges. Again, most of our pools, we do have full range pools, which is another way to kind of get rid of this. And variable returns, like depends on the market conditions. Like the big dump that we just had recently, or by the time this video comes out, probably 1 or 2 weeks ago, we got paid a fuck ton more. If the market's going sideways, you're not really going to pay as much because nobody's, again, you're providing a service. The yield isn't fake. You get paid for people buying and swapping, etc. So if nobody's buying and swapping compared to usual, your APY is going to go down. But in my opinion, this is still a pro because you're still beating nothing rather than just hodling, if that makes sense. So what can you do with 50K to answer this question? Again, you could do a whole lot. You could just hodl, you could just trade, you could use LP positions. There's a bunch of things you can do. It really just comes down to what learning curve you're at, what kind of goals you've set up. Because honestly, hodl is absolutely fine. Like I'm not here to sell you. I'm not here to sell you on anything, by the way. I'm just showing my journey, what I'm doing with LP positions in my portfolio. You could just hodl and that might be as far as you want to go. But once you start to get a lick of LP positions and realize how much money you are, we call it the invisible tax because you can make way more. And like, it's almost like you're paying for that tax by just providing your coins there, if that makes sense. Once you get a lick of that, once you make your first $1 a day, you can make your first $10 a day, you can make your first $100 a day. And hopefully down the line, once you get big enough for your portfolio, you can make your first $1,000 a day. It's basically just maths at the end of it. So I'd love to know your thoughts on what you're doing if you had 50K or what you're doing with your own portfolio. If you're doing LP positions, if you're trading, how successful that's been, or if you're just hodling. I'd love to know your price predictions on coins and where you think this market could go. Peace and take care.